Hello, and welcome to another edition of All Around Town. My name is Roger Wilson, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs and Public Policy. Today's guest is Alderman Michael O'Connor, and I guess I would have to say Mayor-elect Michael O'Connor. Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you, Roger. My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Good. So we just had an election in the city of Frederick. Can you tell us all about that?
Well, we're obviously very gratified with the results. We put our campaign organization together more than a year ago, and did everything we could in the spring to try and get on to meet as many people to sort of begin to set that policy that we wanted to campaign on. Through the course of the summer, contested primary in the city of Frederick in September, advanced past that with a great group of candidates for the Board of Aldermen, and November was a great day. We were very successful in terms of our campaign personally, but I think as well for the campaigns of the 5 aldermen that were on the ballot as well, and really a positive, I think, progressive opportunity for the city of Frederick. So we would have liked to have seen more folks come out to the polls. Obviously, that's always a conversation of what we can do to maybe get more turnout. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of our obligation now as elected officials over the next 4 years to do the things that a good government needs to do to make sure that the residents feel engaged with City Hall and want to participate in our electoral process.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is your first time on the show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been serving as? You've been a public servant for a while now.
Sure. 2 terms on the Board of Aldermen, first elected in 2009. An interesting election because the mayor and all 5 of us who were elected in 2009 were brand new elected officials at that time. None of us had ever been elected to anything. So we were all coming in together, learning a lot together as we moved through that process. It was also in 2009, right as we were hitting the bottom of the Great Recession. And so we entered office with big dreams and high hopes about all the great things we thought we were going to be able to accomplish over 4 years, and were hit almost immediately with multi-million-dollar budget deficits that we needed to work through. Mayor McClement did a great job through that process in terms of giving the Board of Aldermen budgets that we could work with. We were able to slowly begin to rebuild some of the things that we wanted to try to do, expand the police department, put in some sustainability measures, begin to move forward with some capital projects, transportation, some of those kinds of things in order to keep the process of the city moving forward. Prior to my election in 2009, I had spent nearly 20 years in media, sitting very often in interviews where you're sitting now.
Oh, sure.
The one asking the questions.
Good.
I worked for the cable company for about a decade, and I worked for WFMD Radio for about 10 years. And those were tremendous opportunities to watch local government from the front row seat, to learn about the functioning of City Hall and of county government and that interrelationship, to watch the state delegation and how they worked with our local elected officials at the municipal and the county level. And that experience, I think, was an amazing training opportunity to learn and understand about municipal government. And it really gave me an appreciation for what happens at the local government level. I've never wanted to minimize or suggest that what happens federally or at the state level is not important. But what I came to understand through 20 years of covering local government is that the issues that we deal with in municipal government and county government really do affect people and their quality of life every day. Mm-hmm. We worry a lot about the national conversation of what's happening with world affairs or health care, but the park down the street and what's happening in that park, or the development project that's going to be built right down the road from us, or the new school that's coming, or how police protection is deployed throughout the city. These are the issues that affect people every day where they live. And these are the opportunities that we get in local government to have a say in that direction that local government will take.
Mm-hmm. So fast forward, you've been an alderman now for 8 years. Fast forward, mayor-elect, what are your priorities?
So we campaigned on 3 broad themes. The first one was community engagement and government transparency. How do we get at the local level in the way in which we can a kind of restoration in the public's confidence of what government
Sure.
can be and should be, and how do we get our residents involved. I mentioned the voter turnout issue. The time to engage voters is not 6 weeks before an election and telling them they need to go out and vote. That has to happen in the 4 years in between elections. And so we really want to set about with a strategy to try and increase the number of people who participate on our boards and commissions, to increase the diversity of the people who participate and volunteer, whether it's at the Neighborhood Advisory Council, straight up through our Historic Preservation Commission and our Planning Commission, which are important statutory bodies in the city of Frederick. There's many opportunities for residents to be involved in what happens at the local government level, and we want to put together a plan for how that works, and we want to give people a reason to know that their city government wants their involvement and wants their input. The second broad theme was about economic development and expanding vibrancy and resilience in the city of Frederick. We don't want to be a community that becomes too dependent on any one sector to keep our economic vitality thriving. So we have to have an economic development strategy that is focused on broad economic development throughout the city, not just in downtown, but on the west side and the emerging east side of the city of Frederick. And we need to make sure that that economic vibrancy is an opportunity available to all of our residents, not just a few. And so we have to look at the diverse demographics within our city, the income disparity that we have in the city of Frederick. We have to try and level that income disparity, but we also have to understand that we're going to have a broad income spread of residents in the city of Frederick. And so that means our service delivery, our housing options, the way in which we do business on a day in, day out basis has to be responsive to and respectful of that demographic and income diversity that we have in the city of Frederick. The third major area is sustainability. I think we've learned now, particularly in watching things that are happening at the state and the federal level, that what we're able to do within our own borders, within the city of Frederick itself, is so critical to our long-term success. We have to find a way to be as self-reliant in many areas as we possibly can, and sustainability is one of those pieces, whether it's our dependence on fossil fuels and how we remake our vehicle fleet, for example, to be more energy independent, how we look at our buildings to do that, but also more broadly how we look at our land use policies, our air and our water quality in ways that ensure that the city of Frederick is well positioned in the next 10 to 20 years to take advantage of the opportunities and meet the challenges we know are coming as the world of sustainability and the world of energy and people's expectations about what they want out of a local community continue to change and evolve.
Now, all three of those priorities are great, and let me just focus on the second priority, economic development. What do you see on the horizon as far as any new economic development opportunities here in Frederick?
So we know that there are tremendous opportunities available to us on the east side of the city of Frederick. It's anchored in many respects by the airport, which is a critical public asset that the city needs to continue to find ways to maximize its benefits to the community. We have the largest areas of undeveloped land on the east side of the city of Frederick. So that's the greatest opportunity for the right kind of infill development that is an extension of our existing downtown infrastructure. So we want to look at how businesses and residents and office, all of these uses can coexist in a relatively, it's a large geography, but I think we want to do it in a way that's smart, in a way that takes advantage of the density that we can provide in that infill opportunity. The transportation network, how can we extend our grid traffic pattern, for example, in downtown Frederick to the east side. On the west side of the city of Frederick, we know that continues to remain our most important commercial corridor in the city.
You referenced in the Golden Mile.
The Golden Mile. But it is also an area where we've seen the tarnish of the changing retail environment that's emerged over the last 20 years. It's resulted in the closure of a mall, a vestige of an era that is probably passed by, and we need to find the right ways to revitalize a property like that to meet the new needs of residents when it comes to a retail and service-oriented environment. We know with Amazon is not going away anytime soon, so we know the way people shop has changed, and we have to look at our economic development strategies in a retail corridor like that and try and figure out where are the opportunities for people to shop in new ways, or to take advantage of the kinds of things that they perhaps don't want to do in an online environment that they would much rather do in person. And so those present challenges to us because we know that's an evolving landscape, but that's an opportunity for us as well if we keep an open mind and bring the right minds together to the table. And I'm excited about the opportunities that are presented by that because it represents, in some respects, not a blank slate, but a slate of opportunity. And also on the west side is this 140 acres of undeveloped farmland that sits poised to be a West Side Regional Park. It has the potential to be much more than that also. And we have a group of residents, of volunteers who are working in the city now to try and explore what those opportunities can look like as we look to the future. Is it ball fields? Is it an aquatics complex? Is it nonprofit opportunities? Is it garden plots? Is it the opportunities are limitless. What we want to make sure that we do is bring people together who can focus those opportunities into what presents the right return on investment for the taxpayers of the city of Frederick.
So if you could look in a crystal ball, what does the city of Frederick look like 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I see a city where those opportunities for people at all income levels, whether it's to have a place to live or have a place to work or have a place to shop, all exist within the city of Frederick, that we are not seen as just a community of out-commuters, but we are the destination of people who live in communities around Frederick. They recognize that we're the hub that they want to be connected to, that the city continues to grow and expand as a great place for people to live, work, and play, that our downtown is a more vibrant downtown with downtown lodging opportunities, meeting space, the Hotel and Conference Center project. All of these speak to a city that has expanded its vibrancy and is really the home to a very high quality of life for people who want to make this their home for a short period of time, or the people who want to move here and do what I did. I grew up in this community. I raised my kids in this community. They're in college now. I want this to be the kind of place that they look to as an opportunity, if they want to come back to, that they can do what I've done. Pursue their opportunities and have the opportunity for this community to be as good to them as it's been to me.
Now, when are the mayor and board meetings?
The mayor and board regularly meet on the first and third Thursday of every month. There are occasions when there may not be agenda items as you get near holidays. Sometimes that changes. And typically every Wednesday afternoon there are what we call work sessions, the opportunity in a less formal environment for the mayor and board to interact with staff and other applicants on projects and priorities and items that might come before them at one of those legislative board meetings that are in the evening. So first and third Thursday at 7 o'clock at City Hall, our regular legislative board meetings, and then our work sessions are Wednesday afternoons at City Hall at 3 o'clock. And then there's numerous other boards and commissions that we as elected officials serve in terms of maintaining a connection and keeping our finger on the pulse of the many things that we do as a city.
Well, thank you for coming in and doing the show. I appreciate it. Hopefully this won't be the last time you come in.
I certainly hope not.
Yes, and thank you for adding that bit on what the schedule is so the viewing audience knows when to come in and listen in to those discussions at the mayor and board meetings.
And all of our meetings are streamed online as well. They're available on Channel 99 if you live in the city of Frederick. We all have email. We want to look and find ways that we can enhance and expand our ability to communicate with our residents. So there are tremendous opportunities, and I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of that with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that wraps up the show for this time. I look forward to seeing you all around town.